Good evening and welcome again. Emily, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I just got back from a big weekend. I mentioned it, but my husband did a big triathlon race this weekend. And so we had to drive for that. And I just got back about half an hour ago.
All the way from Tokyo.
Yeah, right.
I saw the one with Tokyo.
Yeah, they did have triathlon. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's really good, that one. He punctured his tire, so one of the British one.
Oh,
She, and she carried on. She came in second. Well done.
after the tire?
Yeah,
Oh,
being
that's
punctured.
great.
Yeah, it's really good.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I ain't got a clue what you're talking about.
That's okay. Hey, as long as I know, maybe that's good enough.
You carry on. You carry on. Anyway, did you enjoy your weekend away?
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. It's pretty busy. It's pretty strenuous for everyone involved, the participants, like the racers, and what we call like the support crew, like the families and that go and support the athletes. So it's really exciting and fun, but also pretty tiring.
Right. So
But
how
it's a
did
long
your
day.
husband get on then? How did he get on?
Well, he did well. It's the Ironman race, so it's a long distance race. So for a lot of the people that do it, they're happy if they finish. Um, and he finished. Even though he had an injury, he still finished, and so that's all he wanted. So he did
Well
it.
done, you. Well done, you.
Yeah.
Get on. It's gosh. So what was that? Biking, swimming,
Yep. And running. Yep.
and,
Exactly.
and running. Gosh.
Yep.
I bet you enjoyed your 6 hours then while he was away.
Yeah. I mean, it was so it was. I think I told you too, but my his mom has came to visit, and we went together, she and I, and so yeah, we had fun doing our thing while we were waiting for him to do all the things he was doing.
All
And then
right.
we
Okay.
we cheered him on when we could find him. Because the course is really big because they cover so many miles. So we you just go where you can find them.
Uh, so you put the mother-in-law at one end and you stayed at the other end.
Hey, that would have been a good idea. I didn't think of that. Actually, everything was great. So it was really good.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
I'm glad you get on with your mother-in-law. Well done for you.
Yeah, it's but and I think I don't know if I told you this, but the race was Sunday, and that's also our anniversary. So I've known his mom. We've been married 29 years, and I've known his mom for like 33 years. So we've had a long time to get to get to know each other.
So
So it
she's
was
got
fun.
so she's got a picture at home of you, and she's saying, "Oh, I had her at the weekend and playing darts and trying to, kind of playing darts and say, oh God, I hate my daughter-in-law." No, I'm only joking.
I know. We get along, so that's good.
Good, good.
Yeah.
What you talking about tonight?
Yeah. So last week we started the my be the moment process, and there's 7 layers to the process. And last week we did the first layer, which is be the breath, and I shared how I came to find that and why I created the be the moment, and I can revisit that a little bit. And then we did a little breath practice. And so, what I thought would be fun would be to move into the second layer today, which is be the
Sleep.
body. So, yeah, we're going to kind of progress through this as long as we want to and explore it a little bit. Um, if that sounds good to you and everybody.
Yeah. You got a good response on the radio last week. That was really good.
Oh, great. I love
Yeah,
it. I love it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love hearing from everybody. So it's
That's
good.
okay. Do not worry about it. Okay, so um, so what you doing? What you gonna do now then? Are you gonna put us into a trance or what?
Now I'm going to bring us all into the present moment. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about that today for those that haven't really heard me share about it before, or that sometimes what I find is if it's said in a little bit different way, then all of a sudden it's like light bulb. It's like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I get it. So about 5 years ago, I worked myself into complete exhaustion because I had generalized anxiety disorder that I didn't know I had. And I also had OCD of persistent negative thoughts. So, some people think that OCD is primarily like, you just keep needing to wash your hands or lock the door or make sure the iron's turned off. And then it can go from there a little bit. But a lot of people don't realize that it's not just physical things that people do, but OCD can just be persistent negative thought patterns that go in these loops, and you have a hard time stopping them. And so then that was also playing into my anxiety and really aggravating my anxiety. So I was in this space of what a lot of people call fight or flight, constantly. And I was really taxing my body, and I was needing my body to produce high levels of cortisol and adrenaline, taxing my adrenal glands. So actually what ended up happening was my body just stopped. It just became damaged, and it couldn't produce any more of those things. So I had no energy. It was affecting the chemicals in my brain, so I couldn't think clearly. I couldn't really, if somebody was talking to me, I had a hard time speaking in sentences. I couldn't remember anything. And that progressed until I wasn't really able to get out of bed for about 6 months. And within that time frame in that 6-month time frame, I realized, okay, there's something like real going on, because up to that point I had thought, well, maybe I don't have clear enough goals, or I'm just undisciplined, or I'm not motivated. So I was like really looking at myself, feeling like you're not adequate, you're not doing the right things. Maybe if I just had a better idea of what I wanted to do, then I would do that thing. And what I realized it was more than just like my mindset or my level of motivation. There was something like physically going on in my body. And through that process, through that quiet space, because what I believe was happening was before my breakdown, I had been feeling like, okay, I'm feeling really stressed. I feel like maybe I'm heading towards a burnout. So I was reaching out to get help. I had a counselor. She was helping me, and different things like that. I was learning about how to meditate to reduce stress. So and I've said this before, but I was like flirting with self-care. I was flirting with stress reduction. I was sort of like, okay, I feel like maybe I'm in a place that I cannot sustain this level of stress, that something may happen. And it indeed did happen. And the interesting thing for me, or the ironic thing for me, was that I believe my body was saying, can you just chill for a second? Can you just stop doing things just for a minute? Can you just sit? And I couldn't. I didn't. And then I became so exhausted that I couldn't do anything but lay in bed or sit. And so it was this really interesting space that I found myself in, where it was almost like now I didn't have a choice. I didn't have enough energy to work. Not only not work, but just do regular everyday tasks. And so I found this space. And I thought, well, I've been wanting to learn about meditation. I've been wanting to learn about mindfulness. It's sort of like here on a silver platter. The universe is saying, here you go. You wanted to learn about this and you weren't doing it. So, here you go. And so I really said, okay, I'm going to try to understand this. And so I started to just not only just sit because I was tired, but but more like deliberately sit, cultivate what I now call mindfulness, which is present moment awareness. So I would sit and be in this space, not like wondering about the 5 or 10 things I needed to do in the next half an hour or the next week, or worry about this thing or that thing, that maybe in the future, maybe a day in advance, 2 days. I would just sit here now and say, okay, take deep breaths. That's what I really started to do first, was sit quietly and take deep breaths. And so that's why the first layer of my Be the Moment process is breath, be the breath. And the other interesting piece of my breakdown was that my body actually broke down. So I had been an exercise instructor for about 20 years. And I started to get a lot of pain, particularly in my back. And I couldn't do those things anymore. I couldn't teach any of those classes. And then it became so that I could hardly do any tasks without my back really hurting. And then my hips seized up, and I went to physical therapy, and they weren't able to figure out why my hips wouldn't move. So that was all happening at the same time as it was all together in this big thing that I call my breakdown. And so I started with my Be the Breath, and then I moved into what I call Be the Body, which was almost becoming reacquainted with my physical body and seeing if I could have a relationship with it and listen and hear it. So what was happening, I believed, was that I was doing all these strenuous exercises, teaching these fitness classes, multiple times a week for so many years. And if my body didn't like something, or if I was kind of hurting my body or overextending my body, I would still do it because I was teaching the class. So I couldn't not do it. And so I just stopped listening to my body telling me, maybe don't do this, or maybe I'd like to do this instead. Maybe my body was saying, it'd be really nice if we could just stretch today, or take it easy and not do, 25,000 push-ups. And so that's why my next layer that we're going to explore today is Be the Body, because not only it does two things. Not only does it, connecting to your body in present moment, help you to become more grounded to the now, this moment. It also allows communication. So you're able to hear what your body's telling you that it needs, which is something that I had severed. I'd severed that communication. And so in each of these layers too, because I was thinking about it today, each of the 7 layers, the first one is Be the Breath. And then we go from there into the other layers, but each of the subsequent layers also has the breath component to it. So for me, the entrance point, personally for me, for present moment, is breath, breathing. And then from there, I built this practice of being the moment. And I do want to say one more thing about why I believe that the present moment is so important. It's because truly it is all that there is. Whenever we're thinking about past or we're thinking about future, those are things that we can conjure up in our minds, and we can, recall the past, or we can imagine what may happen in the future. But we're actually never, our body is never physically in the past or never physically in the future. It only truly is right now. And that, when I first really started to comprehend that, it kind of blew my mind, to be honest, because, people talk about like seizing the day, carpe diem, and like be in the moment and all that. And then I realized, oh my gosh, we actually only ever are in the moment, but we just don't know that. And we forgot, or we never knew, and it's so powerful. So if you can cultivate a practice of present moment awareness, which is what I call mindfulness, and really be in this space, then you're going to be connected to your body. You're going to be able to hear what your body needs. You're going to be connected to your breath, because present moment is the only time you can breathe. It's the only place where your heart beats. It's the only place where your senses, taste, touch, smell, sight, that's the only place those exist. It's the only place when you actually think a thought or feel a feeling. So it's the only place where we're fully, truly integrated. And there's a quote that Lao Tzu said. He is the one that they think that wrote what they call the Tao Te Ching, which is this ancient Chinese wisdom. I don't know if it was a document or how it was written down or how they passed it along, but it's attributed to him. So Lao Tzu said that if we're focused in the past, we are depressed. If we're focused in the future, then we are anxious. If we're focused in the present, then we're at peace. And that's what I found. And the interesting thing is that I didn't know any of that. I just experienced it first, and then I started to study about it. So that for me is why this is so real and so profound, is because I accidentally found this like in a really natural way. And so then I was so curious that I started to study and realize there's really something to this. There is a thread through many, many different religious teachers, metaphysical teachers, different religions. There's this thread of being still. And a lot of religions would call that, being in a state of prayer. Also, maybe just being like in a state of, sometimes I would attribute like more of like a worshipful state, in this state of being. And for me, that is like connected and fully here now in the present moment. And so that I just became so passionate about it. So that was about 5 years ago, and I've been practicing it like every day as much as I can ever since. And it's completely changed my life. So that's what I wrote my book about, Foundation. And then I created my Be the Moment process, which is about that and all of the things that I'm offering and creating. And why I'm here with you, Steve, and all of your amazing listeners, is to say that we can all access the power and magic of this. And it's simple and it's free. And it can give you relief. It can give you insight. It can give you clarity. It can make you feel more calm. It can make you less reactive. And that's just the beginning. And then you can move into, like I said, like inspiration, and then you can start to see transformation, and your mind starts to think differently. You start to feel differently, respond differently. And it's sort of this interesting progression of things. And that's also my Be the Moment process. I feel like starts with the breath and then goes to the body, and it goes to these different layers, and it's a progression. And you can stay at any of the layers you want. And for me, my favorite layers be the breath, and that's why I weave it into everything. So the Be the Body layer is really about being aware of yourself in present moment in physical space. So Steve, I don't know if you remember, but last week when we did the breathing, the idea was that we were consciously aware of our breathing. So that's what we're going to do today. If you want to, if you think it's a good idea, is just move into like another layer of it and see what happens.
Let's do it.
That sound good? Okay.
Cool.
How much time do we have? I don't want to.
Look, I'll give you our. Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Okay. I don't think it'll take that long, but I just want to make sure.
Okay, you're all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so what I'd like to do, what we did last week, was I want you to think on the scale of 1 to 10, 1 being that you are in a state of like complete bliss, peace, like like you're in heaven on earth. So that's number 1. And then number 10 is like you're super stressed out, maybe like really, really angry or crying or like hysterical. Kind of like I imagine like you're so upset that you're like actually like hyperventilating. So 1 is that you're blissed out, and 10 is that you're super stressed out. Just take a minute, take a deep breath. You can close your eyes if you want to. And just ask yourself where you think you are on the scale right now. And there's no wrong number. We just want to give an honest assessment of where we're at.
7.
You're at a 7. So that means you're a little bit towards the stressed out side?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, me too, a little bit, just because big weekend, drove 5 hours to get home, but it all worked out. But so like maybe I'm like a 5 or something. Yeah. Okay. So if you're able to fix that number in your head, just remember it for later. And then if you're able to close your eyes, if you're not able to close your eyes, if you're at work or driving or whatever, you don't need to, but I'm going to for a minute. And take a couple of deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Not a super deep breath, more of what I call a cleansing breath. So just inhaling and exhaling. A little bit bigger than your natural breathing rhythm. And if you want to, each breath can become a little bit longer. Inhaling, filling the lungs more. Exhaling, emptying them as much as you can. And the whole time, I want you to feel comfortable doing this. This shouldn't feel uncomfortable at all. And if it feels good, do a couple more. And then allow your breath to return to your natural breathing pattern. Just in through your nose, out through your nose. And that may take you a few moments. That's okay. Give yourself some time to just regulate back to your natural breathing rhythm. We were moving into a space of being consciously aware of our breath. So a quick review of that. If you practice conscious breathing, which is what we did, where we focus on just even deep breathing, we talked about this last week, it will make you calmer. It will give you more clarity. It makes you less reactive. It moves you into a space from fight or flight into a restful space where you're telling your body you are safe, you are protected, you can relax. So that's what conscious breathing does. And you can do that anywhere, anytime. Even just a few breaths can help. So we've moved ourselves into that space. And the thing that it also does is it brings us into present moment, because we are connecting to our breath right now when we are breathing. So now we're going to do is move into the second layer, which is be the body. And there are many ways to explore this layer. Today I'm going to have us just focus on our hands and the sense of touch in our hands. So all you're going to do is take your hands and either touch something like a physical, tangible object. So I'm in a rocking chair, so I'm touching my hands to the handles of the rocking chair. So just touch, if your hands on the steering wheel, or if you're at work, hands on your desk, or whatever you can touch, like a tangible object, just touch it. This is called grounding. So we're connecting, and I want you just to feel the pressure of your hands on that object. So you're not squeezing it, but you're connecting to it and you're touching it. And then become curious about that object. So if it's like your couch, then notice, oh, is it soft? Is it firm? What does it feel like? So I have my hands on wooden armrests. So it's firm, hard wood with kind of sharp angled edges. Just notice how the object feels in your hands. Or maybe you just have one hand touching it. That's also fine. Just moving into a space of being curious and observant about what your hands are touching right now in this present moment. And see if there's anything else that you can notice about it. Maybe what's the temperature of the object? Is it cool? So if your hands were on metal, it would feel a little more cool. If it was on material, it might feel, or fabric, it might feel a little warmer. Or maybe it feels neutral in temperature. We'll see if there's anything else that you can notice about it. I'll give you a few moments here. And maybe wonder if there's something you haven't noticed before. Like, I have my hands on the armrest of my rocking chair, and I notice that I can feel the grain of the wood. And I can feel that it's smooth because it's varnished. Things I haven't really noticed before or really thought about. And then let your awareness take a little bit of a step back. So we were being very detail oriented. Now take a little step back in your awareness and just know that you are feeling your hands connect to the surface of the object that you're touching. Moving back to a more general observation. Just knowing that your hands are connecting to something in physical space right now in this present moment. And as you feel that connection, take a few deep breaths here, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And if you want, you can continue to be aware of that connection, or you can do what I call softening your awareness, which means you're not as focused on that. So we went from being really detail oriented to being more general, and now even more general. So we're just maybe aware now that we're sitting and maybe just touching something, or maybe we're just aware now that we're taking some deep breaths. And if it feels good, take a couple more deep breaths. And then allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm. And there's one more thing that you can do today, if you want to. You can place your hands on your heart. So I like to put my right hand on my heart and then my left hand over the top. And just connect to, if you can, feel your heartbeat. If not, just know that it's there beating. This is another way that you can connect to your body in present moment, is connecting to your heartbeat. And connecting back to your natural breathing rhythm. And then if you closed your eyes, you can slowly open them. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being blissed out and 10 being completely stressed out, see where you think you might be right now.
9.
So are you more stressed out or less stressed out?
Less stressed out.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. That's good.
There's a couple of things I want to ask you.
Yeah, sure.
The So the foundation experience, what's that all about? Can you clear that for me?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to. So the foundation experience is based on my experience of my life experience and how I worked through my breakdown and what I found in that space. And what I found was that there was, I had to unlearn many things and learn new things. And the thing that I found that was so interesting was that there was I had a building, I had built my life, and I
Okay.
saw my life as a building. And when I had my breakdown, I felt like what I had thought was going to work for my life didn't. And the building crumbled down. And all that was left was this one stone. And it was the foundation stone, the cornerstone. And that stone for me was love. And I found that love in present moment. And so foundation is how I learned about that and then how it grew from there. And the thing that I love about the foundation, and the reason I call it foundation experience, is because it's the foundation book, and it's coupled with the foundation meditations. So those two things together create the foundation experience. And my intention is that when the reader reads the book and then listens to the meditations, it leads them through a very similar process and progression that I went through to connect to their love, their true self, and cultivate their own mindfulness practice and to find their own magic in that space. And so that's what the foundation experience is,
Brilliant.
and it's
Well
available
done.
now.
Well done. Yeah. Try to get it, please. Um,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
you were talking earlier about several things, and you were really about your breakdown, and you were really getting emotional. Are you always like that?
Emotional.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm a very emotional person. I would say that I wear my emotions on my sleeve. They're not too far under the surface. So
Right. Sorry, I've just
what's
got
that
cut
on the
off.
screen there?
Sorry, it was something I need to get rid of quick. Yeah. So because what happened was with your kind of like, because when you were talking just now, I was thinking, hmm, she's really getting emotional here, and when you get emotional, then you think, no, this person really means what she's talking about,
Mm,
and you know what I mean.
yeah, I do, and I value that. When I'm talking with someone, if they're passionate about what they're talking about, that resonates with me. And I feel like it shows authenticity, and that's what, that's really important to me, and that's what I'm trying to do, is just be, be real, be a real person, and share my real experience, and just be in a space um where, because if you're struggling and you are overwhelmed and you're stressed out and you're heading into breakdown or burnout, or you are in that space, or you have experienced that, you don't want someone just sitting here saying, I don't know, just talking about stuff. You want to feel like there's hope, there's a chance for you, that someone understands that it can be hard, life can be hard, and you can have struggles, and that, that it is hard sometimes, or all the time. Like, I call what I was experiencing, I called it like daily suffering. So for me, because I had so much stress, and I traced it back like all the way till I was like 12 years old or 10 years old, like really quite far back. I had so much anxiety that most days I would say that I was suffering to a certain extent with
Right.
with these feelings. And then, each person, if they are experiencing anxiety, there's a range, from like a little bit of anxiety, all moderate anxiety, like all the way to like extreme anxiety where you're just not even functioning, and more than that. And, I'm here to say that it can be hard, and that there are some things that we can do. And so I try to find a balance, because I don't want to just completely talk about the anxiety and the suffering all the time. I also want to say, like, there are choices, there is hope, but I also want to be real, and so to find that balance of being hopeful and giving ideas and that kind of thing with it, but then also being in a space where people feel like they can relate to what I'm saying. Like, oh, okay, yeah, she did experience a lot of the things that I'm feeling too. So to find a balance there.
Yeah. Because what it is, I've been asked to show your website. That's what I'm doing now.
Mm,
So,
cool.
as you can see, and a lot of people asking me on radio if they can kind of like, if I can put your website up. So I have. And if I was you guys, I would really, really kind of like go for a website, because for Emily's website, because it's a lot of facts on there, and it's more, and it's really, really interesting. I've been through it a few times, and it's got kind of like about mediation on there, all sorts of stuff on there, and about books and everything, and it's got a lot of information. So she, she knows what she's talking about, and I think if you kind of like get all of her books, or contact her personally, she might be able to help you. If you're going through a bit of a bad time at this moment in time, like
Yeah.
Emily did.
Yeah, I mean, my book is on there, the Foundation Experience. Also, my process that I shared about today is on there, and there's also free things. There is a guided meditation, um, and there's my blogs that I've written. And I do want to say that I'm not you can see some of my interviews on there, and my Crossroads interviews with Steve. Um, that I'm not a counselor or anything like that. Everything that I'm sharing is from my own experience and what I've found worked for me. Um, and I'm just offering it as an option that may also work for you. And I've talked with enough people, and I've studied it enough to know there is something to it.
Of
And
course,
so, yeah, and so I'm super passionate about it, as you picked up on, Steve. So
yeah, yeah,
thanks for sharing the
yeah.
website. That's awesome.
The trouble is, guys, what you got to realize is, guys, by now that I'm sort of a person who can kind of like try. Well, I don't read everybody, but I think Emily does really care and what she's saying, and this is why on her website she's kind of like trying to share her experiences and her feelings, what she's been through. And when you kind of like kind of like having a nervous breakdown, I've been there, guys, and it's not very good. And when you get to a certain point in your life that you can't cope and everything, and things are going low and everything, you always need that kind of help and everything. And sometimes we can speak to our doctors. Yes, we can. But also, it's good to speak to people who've been through their own experience sometimes, and it does help. And so, if you're going through some time now where you're kind of like thinking that you can't cope, or you're going through a bad time, then we have got counsellors on here right now. We always do. But also, you can speak to Emily. She can't kind of like, she's not a counsellor, but she's been through the problem and she can help you.
Yeah, and you don't know, like, definitely, I always encourage people, like you said, Steve, to talk to a professional, talk to a counselor. So I'm basically just providing different tools for mindfulness that might be helpful, and sometimes they'll work for people, and they'll be able to add them into their life in a way that's helpful. So that's my hope, is that it's just helpful and provides some relief and some hope.
Well, you are. Let's go through some questions. We're
Sure.
running over time, but I don't care anyway. Right? Okay. If you don't care, I don't care.
I've
Right?
got some
Okay.
time.
Right. Okay. We got some questions here. Hi, Emo. Emo. Okay. Okay. Carry on. Hi. Would it be possible if you could tell me more about your books, please? I've been saying it for the last few weeks that I'm going to get some, but I haven't had the time because when you've got 5 children, you know what 5 children is like,
Yeah.
especially when all of them's under the age of 8. Gosh,
Oh man.
oh,
Yeah, I only had two, so wow. Um,
gosh,
yeah. So my she's asking about my book.
yeah.
Yeah. So I actually wrote my book. It's here. Let me grab it. I have it. I have it here. I'll show it to you. It's very manageable. Uh, I don't know if it's gonna show it backwards or not, but maybe.
All
This
right,
is
yeah.
this is my
Foundation, yeah.
book, and it's big, and it's got it's very manageable, and it's got big type. It's got pages to journal. You can see the lined pages.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really good.
It's basically a workbook, and I made it so that it's not very big. You can see.
Can we have a look at the back?
That's
There
it.
you go, guys. Right.
And it's really manageable. I did it because I thought, if someone's like me and they were really overwhelmed and stressed and had a lot of anxiety, are they going to want to do something that takes a long time? And I would have said, no, I don't. So this is really manageable. It's just 7 chapters, and each of the chapters has a meditation that goes with it. And I mean, you could do one chapter a day, you could do one chapter a week. Um, and it's meant to be very manageable and
And how
not
much
not
is your book?
overwhelming.
How much is your book?
It's 19 US dollars.
$19 US. So
Yeah. I don't
what's
know how
that?
much that's worth.
What's that in UK? Hang on for a second.
I don't know.
I've got to get my math. Around about, guys, around about 11, £12 odd, and it's worth it. It's really worth it. I need to get a copy actually. So saying about that, I do really need to get a copy. And I got, people saying to me, "Do you ever get freebies and stuff?" And I said, "Guys, I don't know. I don't even get CDs or nothing like that. Now and again, I do, but not all the time. But if I was you, I would pick it up. It's really good, and I'll get a copy actually. I'll ask my wife to sort of
Yeah, and
copy
the
it.
cool thing, you can get the book, and then get the meditations. They're recorded meditations, and those are both. There's links on my website. You can also get the audio book, and the audio book is cool because I narrate it, and it's the book and the meditations all together, in one thing.
Right.
So you can do it that way too. I just wanted to make it so it was really easy for people.
Was that self-published? Did you self-publish
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Through Amazon.
Good. Well
You
done.
can find it
Well
on
done.
Amazon too. It's there.
Yeah, yeah. So they can buy your book on Amazon too, can they?
Hmm.
Good. There you go, guys. I'll just come back. See, a weekend away, and I don't want to keep her on much longer. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you next week. Thank you very much for today.
Sounds great.
Okay, and you take care, and we'd be looking forward to kind of you know having some more therapy from you. Really, we all
Yeah,
need
we'll
therapy, don't we?
experience more of the present moment together.
Of course, we've got to be in the moment, don't we?
Yep, we got to.
I was speaking to somebody the other day. I was interviewing, and I said, "You've got to be in the moment." And they said, "Where you getting all this moment from?" I says, I said, "I'll send you a link."
Oh, cool.
So I do. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining me tonight, and thank you for Emily. I've got to go because I need to go to bed. I'm shattered.
Yeah,
Um,
go take care of yourself.
yeah, take care, Emily. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Steve.
Bye bye.